So it's almost Christmas time, and I want to talk about the Montgomery County Circuit Court here in Rockville, Maryland. Um, I'm going to talk about all the mistakes that they have done in my case so that people are aware of how the circuit court operates. They do a lot of mistakes, especially when you're dealing with your custody trials and you don't know what to expect, and you're asking your attorneys, "What am I to expect in this case?" And your attorney might tell you a few possibilities, uh, but then when your case gets complicated down the line, you don't know what is going to happen in your case. But I will talk about Judge Mason. I'm going to talk about a little bit about Judge Ryan. I'm going to talk about Lisa Segel. And who else is there? I think those are the main judges that I have dealt with and magistrates from the circuit court. So also we'll talk about Judge Cho. Yes, I was almost forgetting about her. She has a bad reputation of not being a good judge, just to start with. She only has, I believe, 1 year or 2 years of experience in the family law department. She recently got promoted from the district court. That's where she's coming from. And today is almost the end of 2018. So that to keep in mind on this video. So in my experience with the Circuit Court of Montgomery County, Rockville, Maryland, my whole entire case began sometime in July 2016, but I'm gonna be only talking about the custody part of it, which comes after the divorce or during the divorce, but it's just the last things that they deal with. So be very careful with the circuit court, especially if you're being self-represented. If you're being self-represented, chances are your rights are not going to be taken care of. If you think that you can do this alone as a pro se, be very careful that maybe if you are the plaintiff and you want to go pro se, that could be a good choice. However, if you're the defendant, in my case, has not been a good idea to do that. And so I really don't have a solution for that, because I can't tell you what to do, because otherwise I would have done it on my own. Because if you're a person that doesn't have money to pay for an attorney, then chances are that you're gonna be pro se, and if you're gonna be pro se, then your rights are gonna be at stake here. Okay. Okay, so let's go to what the court has done in my case as mistakes, and that you should keep in mind if you're dealing with these judges. So I'm gonna be speaking about, first of all, Judge Mason. Judge Mason handled my initial custody trial. It was scheduled to go on for 3 days, and out of their discretion, be very careful, because discretion is being used in the circuit court constantly, and discretion just means basically what I think is right for the court as a judge, I will do, and what I believe this person deserves or that other one doesn't, it's out of my own discretion. That's what it basically means. So you are at their mercy, and no one can take away that from them. So you're basically stuck with whatever they believe out of you, you know. So that to start with, Judge Mason handled my custody trial, and he gave an order, and then he doesn't comply with it. So what do you do when the judges don't comply their own orders, right? They said the visitation was supposed to be unsupervised if you do A, B, C, and D. And when you do it 2 months later, you don't get it. So if he says unsupervised visitations as soon as you are done with A, B, C, D terms that I'm giving you, then you should have your order done, and it doesn't happen. Why? Because the other custodial parent, in this case the father of my son, has a good attorney, and he doesn't want to uh, give me my son for visitations. As simple as that. So what do? You can't do anything. You're just stuck with the custodial parent's decision not to give you the child for visitations, and the self-executing order for unsupervised visitation does not happen. So you can file for contempt, but what happens when you go to the court, you speak with the judge, and the judge says, well, oops, I, meant for you to continue supervised visitations even though you have complied with everything. Now he's modifying his own order without anybody filing a motion for it. And he just simply modifies his order. And now you are going to have to rely on family members for you to have visitations. So here's now if you are going to be put on supervised visitations at home with your family members, if that's your case, now you're going to have to rely on your family to be around. Okay? And when they're not around, guess what's going to happen? You're not going to see your child. And this is where the abuse will happen to you, because you're not going to see your child. If the other parent wants to have constantly harass your family to give him notifications that they're going to be present in the house, and if he doesn't get a notification from the grandmother, for example, in my case the grandmother was to be supervised at the house, then he'll deny visitations on you, and then you're going to be thinking, should I file for contempt, or does he have now a weapon against me by saying that grandmother wasn't home, and therefore he had the right to cancel my visitations? So this goes on and on and on for more than a year, and your visitations pretty much wiped out 50% of the time, because there is, you rely now on other people. Your rights are wiped off. You don't have rights to see your child, and you are stuck with your grandparents, your grandmother, the grandmothers being at home or not. And in my case, um, my grandmother, my mother was not even asked for her name in the court order. So the judges will not even ask who they're putting on orders. It just will say defendant's mother to supervise it at home. So, I just want to talk about the mistakes that the court does, the contradictions. First, they will say one thing, that you're going to get unsupervised visitations after you pay a lot of money for whatever they're asking, because there are things that they will ask from you to do, and it can cost thousands of dollars. And if you don't have it, then you're not gonna get any visitations with your child. They can say whatever they want. They can deny your visitations, period. If you didn't comply with ABCD, then that's it. If you don't have the money to do it, they don't care. So in my case, I did comply. In my case, I did pay whatever it took for me to get to see my son. Again, I complied with everything that they asked me to do, and then they put me back on supervised visitations at home when it was supposed to be unsupervised. So I just want to make sure that you understand what the court can do to your case, how very quickly they can change their minds, and you don't have any control of doing anything. If you're being self-represented and you don't know what is happening in the courtroom, there are words that are being said and you're standing there not knowing what to do because you don't know. And especially if you are from another country and you barely understand English, your chances at anything, at being your rights being taken, consider your rights, are not gonna be, successful. There are chances that you're gonna lose, and your whatever your rights were are gonna be ignored. Now I want to talk about uh, Judge Cho. She is very new. She made a lot of mistakes in my case, not necessarily against me, but actually in my favor, but without intentionally. Um, she she just I came with a protective order on behalf of my son, and I put it against my ex-husband. And the court with the Judge Cho, she has the authority to basically wipe out your protective order if you are the non-custodial parent. So if the non-custodial parent files for a protective order against the spouse who has already the custody from the circuit court, the circuit court, and in this case it was Judge Cho, she will basically destroy your protective order in front of your eyes by dismissing it right there and then. This happened to me. I have a protection order from the district court, and she said that the circuit court is a higher court, and if the district court says that now I have custody of my child, then it gets overwritten, and I don't have that right to even have a hearing, for example. Yes, she felt like I had a right to have a hearing, but only so that she could deny it. So this is very important because if you're being put on unsupervised visitations, the court is giving, in my case, they gave the full right of my ex-husband to take my child and force him in his Jeep and make him cry, and the court does not do anything for your child if the child is in between this and he suffers in this. If the father says that, that where's the supervisor for your visitations. In my case, he took my child away, and he forced him in his Jeep and made him cry. I called the cops, but because I'm a non-custodial parent, um, in front of the court, he has the full right to scare my child and take my child away from me from having visitations in a safely manner. Just by me walking around with my son, and there's absolutely no issues. If my mother was not around for visitations, he takes my child in a very aggressive manner, make him cry in the car, and when I go in front of the judges think it's okay. He's the custodial parent, and we don't believe that because the child was crying that he's done anything wrong. So the protection order on behalf of my son denied. Denied. Just because he's the custodial parent, he has the right to scare my child in public in a parking lot, and that is completely fine with the circuit court. But understand the terms that I said to you. If you are the non-custodial parent, this is what can happen to your protection order. Just be aware, and also be aware what can happen to your child. More important than anything that I have said in here, what happens to your child is that he has no rights about being scared by the custodial parent. Okay? So if you have any questions regarding this part, because I am actually appealing this, and I will make a video about what the Court of Special Appeals decided in this uh, protective order on behalf of my 12-year-old son, please post them below, because I would like to hear all your comments. And if you're an attorney, I also would like to hear about this particular part of my video, which deals with the protective order and the Judge Cho's decision. Now I want to move on to Lisa Segel, the magistrate of the Circuit Court, Rockville, Maryland. With Lisa Segel, she basically when this protective order was in place, she the he was not supposed to be around my son for a week, because protective orders last for only a week, and then they go into final protective orders. But during this 1 week, he was not supposed to be around my son. He was not supposed to be inside the house, just leave the house, everything. Okay, but what happened is that in the same process that this is happening, he's given possession of the home, if that makes any sense. He's giving possession of the home. This is what Judge Cho did. Okay, but the court order didn't come out yet. So he got arrested. The father, the custodial parent, gets arrested for going back to the house. And so now Lisa Segel blames me for the father being arrested. Okay, and she can blame you for retaining the child, if that makes any sense. Because in my case, if he gets arrested, then where's the child gonna go? Obviously, he has to stay home. So the word saying retaining, it's improper. There was no violation of anything. He's the one in violation of his own protective order. Okay, but in Lisa Segel, she thinks that he is not supposed to be in that she's blaming me for his arrest, and therefore now, as a punishment, this is what I get supervised visitations again. Okay, so a year later, she's putting me back on supervised visitations because she says that I retained the child, and while he was being arrested for violating the protection order on behalf of my son. And she's doing this right now. Only we're a few days away from being on Christmas 2018, and she does not have any empathy towards me. I have told her that that this is. I don't think that the court system understands. Well, we are in the United States, first of all, and there's none of this custody battles, at least that I know of, in my country. I come from South America, and we don't have this type of enforcements. We don't have this type of battles. It's unheard of. As far as I know, in my country, if you call the police because wife is being beaten by the husband, that's regular domestic problems that police will never get involved with. But because we are in the United States, that is completely different. In here, all of that will become domestic violence. You can get arrested, and in the court system, can be used against you. So I am very alien to the U.S. ways of handling these things. It's very aggressive. Uh, I think that for most people to be all of a sudden in front of a judge and being judged. So I have never been able to deal with this in my life until now. So back to the court system's way of handling things. I already spoke about Lisa Segel. Do not think that she's a nice person at all. She has a bad reputation as well for being very tough with people in front of the court. But what I'm very disappointed about her is that for her to put me in this situation and basically saying that I don't deserve to have visitations, and for him being incarcerated in jail, that it is my fault. It's and then denying my visitations and saying that I don't have rights to my visitations all of a sudden. She has no empathy towards me at all, at all. And she doesn't care that he's denied my visitations because my mother wasn't around 100%. So if you're being denied visitations because the grandmother is supposed to supervise it, If you get 8 hours of supervised visitation at home, and the grandmother can only be there 4 hours out of the 8, and they deny your visitations the full 8 hours without caring that your mother was there for 4 hours, just because she wasn't there for 2 hours, your entire visitation will get denied by the custodial parent. Then what does the circuit court do? In my case, absolutely nothing. They support this. They support that the father should cancel my visitations 100%, and that is wrong. Okay, this is not your regular denial of visitation cases, where I have heard many stories about fathers being denied by their mothers, the ones who have custody. This is a mother. I am a mother, and I'm being denied visitations by the father of my child, with the restriction of supervised visitations at home with my own mother. So if you're an attorney, I also want to hear from you about this denial of visitations with supervised visitations, the restrictions. I want to hear, what I want to hear is, should a parent be denied visitations when the supervisor, in this case the grandmother, is not home 20% of the time, 40%, 50%? Should that visitation be canceled 100%? Or should the father allow the mother have visitations while the grandmother was there? Okay, that is the question. Or should just he plainly supposed to cancel my visitations and I should get none whatsoever for the entire year? I want to know if he's in contempt. And I think that is all for today. I think this is a very interesting topic that a lot of people can make comments, ask questions. Lawyers, please put your comments down below. I want to hear from all of you, and I will keep updating regarding the Court of Special Appeals that I have done, and continue making videos regarding denial of visitations for mothers at the Circuit Court in Rockville, Maryland. Thank you very much.